What's going on, sports fans? I am your sports guy, Kendrick, with TFG Sports Media and Kendrick Sports Hustle. I hope everyone is having a great Wednesday. I just want to make sure my audio is good, and it is. We got some developing developing story. It has been somewhat of a busy sports day, to say the least. I've been kind of trying to figure this thing out. We've got some coaches being reassigned, and we got reports of a coach retiring, a legendary coach. But before we jump into that, make sure you subscribe, like the channel. That's TFG Sports Media here on YouTube, and make sure you like and subscribe Kendrick Sports Hustle. That's SPORTZ HUSTLE on YouTube, and make sure you like and follow TFG Sports Media and Kendrick Sports Hustle on Facebook. And also, you can follow me at Kendrick1969 on Instagram, as well as Kendrick Henderson 51 on TikTok. So let's get on down to the nitty gritty. I wanted to see if anybody gonna jump on, but if you haven't heard, developing story, it's being reported by ESPN's Chris Lowe that Alabama head coach Nick Saban is retiring after 17 seasons at Bama. You heard that right. It's only Chris Lowe with ESPN was the first to report this, and is the only one reporting this at the moment, is saying that Coach Nick Saban has decided to retire after 17 seasons at Alabama. And what a shocker. We know this was something that came out of nowhere. I wasn't expecting this. I was actually on my way from the store, and I was listening to a sports talk radio, and one of the callers called in and said, hey, they're reporting that Nick Saban is retiring. And I'm like, whoa, okay. I'm like, that's just probably somebody on Twitter just messing on X, formerly known as Twitter, messing around. But ESPN, breaking news. So again, if you haven't heard, it hasn't been confirmed. The University of Alabama has not released a statement or anything at this moment. But ESPN's Chris Lowe is reporting that Alabama head coach Nick Saban is retiring after 17 seasons at Alabama. If you don't, just a little bit of background about Nick Saban. He's 72 years old. You know, for a coach, that's kind of getting up there in age. It's not old, but he's been in the game for a minute. He's been at Alabama for 17 seasons. He's won 6 national titles there. He's won 7 total. He won a national title at LSU in 2003. But he's won 6 at Bama, 2009, 2011, 2012, 2015, 2017, and 2020. He has a record of 292 wins, 71 losses, 1 tie. He's 19-12 in bowl games, and he is 9-5 in the college football playoff. So, again, what a shocker! This is the developing story. It's not being confirmed by by the University of Alabama, but Chris Lowe from ESPN is reporting that Nick Saban is retiring. Now, he began his head coaching stops. He was a position coach back in the day, but his first head coaching job was at the University of Toledo. And then he will move on to Michigan State. I think a lot of people forget that he was at Michigan State, and he was pretty successful there. And then he would move on to LSU again, where he would win a national title in 2003. Then he was lured away from LSU, and he's been at Bama. In between there, he did a little stint in the NFL with the Miami Dolphins. That didn't go so well. And then he would come back. He would come to Bama, and this is where he's been ever since. So it's being reported again that Nick Saban is retiring. This year, they were able to get into the Final Four over some controversy. You know that they did lose to Georgia in the the conference championship this year. And the conference committee, they won. They beat Georgia in the SEC championship game this year. But they had already had one loss to Texas. Man, it was a big controversy. Long story short, conference committee, college football playoff committee, they weren't going to leave an SEC team out. I knew that from the jump. So Alabama did get into this year's Final Four, where they would lose to Michigan in double overtime last week. And getting ready for the next year. You know, there's been some transfers out of the program too. I'm sure we're going to be hearing stories about the new transfer portal system. If you didn't know, Nick Saban is not a really big fan of it. It wasn't a big fan of it. He said some things behind the scenes about when Coach Prime was at Jackson State, about how they got Travis Hunter. But the transfer portal, some of these big time colleges are now having to compete, whereas they didn't have to compete before. And I don't think obviously he was going to adapt, but Nick Saban wasn't a fan of this transfer portal. I was reading earlier in the week that they've already had a few guys transfer out. And so then today we got this news that just dropped about, I want to say this broke about 45 minutes ago on ESPN. So here we are. So who is going to be in line for that job? If this is correct, if what's being reported is true, so who should be the next Alabama head coach? Will it be someone on staff? And it's going to be people knocking at the door, man, to take that job. I mean, when you talk about high-profile jobs, college football jobs, that one right there, woo, you're going to have some big, whoever follows Nick Saban, they're going to have some big shoes to fill. When you talk about college head coaches, Nick Saban is probably on the Mount Rushmore now. You put Paul Bear Bryant, Nick Saban, I know those two are definitely there. When you talk about college football head coaches in national championships, those two are definitely on that Mount Rushmore. So now the next conversation is going to be, who is the candidate? Who will Alabama try to persuade to get to Alabama? And I'm thinking they're going to probably go with some young hotshot offensive coordinator type guy. I mean, that's where they're probably going to lean toward. As far as who, that's something that we'll be talking about and studying here for the next few days. But again, this is a developing story. If you hadn't heard, I'll say it again. It sounds funny to say this, but it's being reported that Nick Saban is calling it a career at Alabama. Now, I wonder, is he really calling it a career? Is he really? He makes $11 million a season. That's his salary. He's the highest paid, one of the highest paid college coaches in the game. So really, I don't see him going to the NFL level. He did that. They wasn't successful. I don't see him want to deal with that. And I don't know if he still really want to deal with all the recruiting and all the new college football system now. That might be why the reason he's decided to retire. He just don't want to have to deal with all this new NILs, excuse me, and the transfer portal and all that. So it's going to be a lot of sports talk. I would definitely love to be a fly on the wall in Tuscaloosa, Alabama right now. I know all the sports media people down there are running around going crazy. And I know sports talk radio, that's all it's going to be about this report of Nick Saban retiring. So again, just to reiterate, ESPN's Chris Lowe is the only person reporting this. That's where I first saw it. And I saw it on the Score app as well, but they're saying that Nick Saban is retiring. Now, we also had some big news come down out the NFL today as well. Pete Carroll, longtime coach in Seattle, 14 seasons, 15 years. Well, he technically was relieved of his head coaching duties, but he wasn't given the pink slip. He just was relieved. He's going to be an advisor, and this is according to the team owner, Jody Allen. So again, Seattle Seahawks longtime head coach Pete Carroll will no longer be on the sidelines. He will move into advisor role. Carroll was hired by the Seahawks from USC in 2010. He had two Super Bowl appearances with the Seahawks where they won one. He was 137, 89, and 1 as a head coach for the Seattle Seahawks. And he is the winningest head coach in Seattle history. The 2023 season, they finished 9-8, same as 2022, and missed the playoffs. But again, that was the other breaking news on today, that the Seattle Seahawks are deciding to relieve Pete Carroll of his head coaching duties, but keep him in the organization somewhere as an advisor. I did hear some sound from Pete Carroll on CBS Radio about an hour ago. He didn't sound too happy about this. According to just listen to his tone and what he was saying, they had talks. It doesn't sound like it was a mutual agreement to me. It sounds like that. I mean, that was the deal. That was it. The ownership is like, you know what? We don't want to fire you. We want you to stay around. We want you to do something within the organization. But Pete Carroll sounds like he ain't really too keen on that. So we'll keep our eye on that story too. That's still a developing story with Pete Carroll to see, will he stay on as an advisor with the Seahawks, or will he decide, you know what? No, I'm good. I'm just going to step aside. So now we got the Seahawks looking for a new head coach. So it's the Atlanta Falcons, the Carolina Panthers, the Washington Commanders, the Seattle Seahawks, and I believe that's it. Some people are saying that Matt Eberflus with the Chicago may be on the hot seat, but I read a report today that the ownership is like he's safe, at least for this year. But anytime the owners tell you you're safe, you're probably not. So it's always you always got to be leery of anytime you get that type of stamp of approval from an ownership group. So again, that's the other breaking news. Pete Carroll, Seattle Seahawks, 15 years. You know the big deal with him, and last couple of years when Russell Wilson was there was rumors that those two wasn't seeing eye to eye, and Pete was just looking to get him out of there. And there's some other issues, some other bumps in the road happened there with offensive coordinators and this and that. But 15, that's a long time to be at one stop. Pete Carroll, Mike Tomlin, John Harbaugh, and Bill Belichick, those are the longest tenure head coaches in the league. They've been with those teams. Bill Belichick, I think, been with New England, 22, 23 years. Mike Tomlin with Pittsburgh, 17 years. John Harbaugh with Baltimore, I want to say he is 16 or 15 years. Then you got Pete Carroll, who had been there 14, almost 15 seasons. So that's the other head coaching breaking news that came down. If you missed that, Pete Carroll has been relieved of his head coaching duties, but has been offered a place in the organization to be an advisor. And I'm assuming he's going to accept it. He didn't say no, but we'll see what happens. So this is a breaking news report from your sports guy, Kendrick. I just want to come in real quick and let you know. Keep an eye on this. I'm gonna keep this story updated. But Alabama Crimson Tide head coach Nick Saban is being reported that he is retiring after 17 seasons, 6 national championships at Alabama, 1 national championship at LSU, 292 wins, 71 losses, 1 tie. He was 19-12 in bowl games, 9-5 in the college football playoffs, and so wow, that is some heavy news. And so now the next thing is, who will be that guy to step in to try to fill his shoes? Because recruiting, man, is right here. You got signing day coming, man. To retire right now, man. Now that's kind of putting Bama behind the 8 ball, which I don't think they'll ever be behind the 8 ball. But we got National Signing Day coming up in a couple of weeks, and so we're gonna see what Alabama does. So again, it's not been official. Alabama, the university that is, hasn't made any sort of statement saying that Nick Saban has retired. But ESPN's Chris Lowe is reporting that Nick Saban is stepping away from the sidelines after a legendary college football coaching career that spanned not only Alabama, Michigan State, and LSU and Toledo. So I'd like to know what you guys think about that. If you rewind this, replay this later, put your thoughts in the comments about Nick Saban retiring. Also about Pete Carroll, if you think about his situation in Seattle, you want to think about that. What's up, the Real Estate Insider? Yeah, we got some breaking news going on in sports. Real Estate Insider is being reported. ESPN's Chris Lowe is reporting that Nick Saban, legendary head coach of Alabama Crimson Tide, is stepping down or retiring after 17 years. Again, after 6 national titles at Bama, 1 at LSU. He is stepping away from the game. And we're going to see who's going to be in line to take that job. Again, I know Sports Talk Radio in Tuscaloosa, in Alabama, the whole state right now is probably going nuts. And I would just love to be a fly on the wall on those talk shows and hear the listeners and then hear the I guess the speculation of who's going to succeed Saban at Alabama. I didn't think we were going to be talking about this today, that's for sure. But we got a lot going on in the sports world. Again, Nick Saban stepping away. retiring, and we're waiting to hear from the University of Alabama to see if they are going to make some sort of statement on that today. And also the Seattle Seahawks, they basically reassigned head coach Pete Carroll to a different place in the organization, so he is no longer the head coach of the Seattle Seahawks. So they're looking for a new head coach as well as the other teams that have already fired their coaches: the Falcons, the Panthers, the Raiders, and the Commanders. So that's 5 teams in the NFL now that's looking for a head coach. So I like to know what you guys think about these breaking news moves with these coaches that happened today. Make sure if you replay this, make sure you leave a comment, and I'm gonna definitely keep you up to date, up to speed. Anything that breaks on this, I definitely will post something. Make sure if you haven't already, make sure you like, subscribe to the channels. That's TFG Sports Media on YouTube, as well as Kendrick Sports Hustle. That's SportzHustle. Make sure you like and follow TFG Sports Media and Kendrick Sports Hustle on Facebook. And also you can follow me, Kdrick1969, at Kdrick, on Instagram. And you can also follow me on TikTok at Kendrick Henderson 51. So again, that's it, man. Sports. We got it. Make sure you keep it locked here for all your breaking news, sports information, and sports entertainment. So I'm gonna let you guys get back to your regularly scheduled programming. But if there's anything else that drop, just keep it locked here, and we'll keep you informed. So you guys enjoy the rest of your Wednesday evening. I am Kendrick, the sports guy. We will see you on the other side and on the next report. I am out. Peace.